example, anybody that brings in a drone has to register the drone before they use it.
But you do it?
Yes, we have registered all our drones, and we've taken the step. Yes, that's what I'm saying. There's a need for educating the public.
Someone is asking me.
With the GCA.
Wait, but it's the same GCA that was collecting. Okay. Oh, you're from GCA. Oh, brilliant. Can you join the panel? Please put your hands together for me. I don't see you saying that. We will learn what to do as because I think at the end of the day, that's where all of this comes together. So, from initial hesitation to adoption to full-scale adoption and regulation, where do we start?
My name is Sana Mataja from Civil Aviation. Safety Regulation. Now, I feel like I had to come in because there was a lot of wrong notions being peddled here, and it might get people confused. First and foremost, the GCA is different from Ghana Airports Company. They are two separate entities. They used to be one a long time ago. They broke up in 2006. So the notion that what happens in Ghana Airports Company is the same thing that happens in GCA is wrong. So let's stop.
So let's stop that one.
Let's stop that.
That divorce is finished.
Now, GCA has never been against the use of drones.
Right.
Never. Now, the problem is ICAO, which is our international body that oversees civil aviation the whole world over, a specialized agency of the United Nations, is also now coming out with standards for drone use. And the lead countries are, of course, the US, Canada, Australia, etc. But Ghana is catching up. The lead in Africa, I think, is South Africa. Nigeria and us are at par. So Ghana came up with the idea of coming up with regulations for Ghana to suit our environment. And because of that, the DG himself selected a team of inspectors. We've gone to two retreats, you can say, for off-site missions to work on these regulations. And as I speak now, he has approved it, and the directive is on the Ghana Civil Aviation website. That part 28 of the AITI 2000. So if you go there, you can see all the regulations that are there. And coming to the issue of the exercise, when we got information that they wanted to use a drone. The drone is an aircraft, and whoever is controlling the drone should have the same responsibilities as a pilot on a manned aircraft. Now, if you are going to fly a drone around the airport, and we don't know you've not done any security checks, what is the guarantee that when you take off and an aircraft is around, you can easily cause anything can come to mind?
It has happened before.
Yes. So, to fly around the airport, you need to get a security clearance. Now, the first guy who was put forth, when he came, his drone would fly around the area. So another guy came in, who we've already given a one-time approval before. So him, you can say, we know him a little bit. So he carried out that exercise. And it was GCA inspectors who, encouraged that and facilitated that to happen. So the notion that GCA is against drones, I'm not happy with that.
Okay, we'll be getting more into the policy and regulatory issues in our second panel. But I think it was important that you came to clarify those issues. And if there's any other issue, we call upon you to do that. Please put your hands together. Okay, so we are going to now get a bit into, and we'll be coming to your questions in a bit. For those of you tweeting, Facebooking, on social media, the hashtag is iweek2016. So please make sure you put the hashtag in it. Now, let's get into the costs and how to acquire one and where to acquire it from, for those of you who are probably looking into that. So let's get into the business side of this whole drone business. So the independent player, start from you quickly. First of all, what are the easiest sort of means of acquiring a drone? Where can we get some? How much does it cost? Those basic details.
So basically starting a drone business, you use drones and doing 90 or a large percentage of the work you do in your company. So the first thing is buying a drone. Now drones are available all over the sphere. You can even go to the mall, Telefonica, and you can get a drone to buy. The thing about getting a drone is knowing how to properly use the drone. Yes, you need to know how to fly the drone and maintain in different situations. Because there might be a day you fly, it's clear, bright day, it's a good day to fly. But then there might be another time, it's a windy and very bad day to fly. But you are flying. You need to know how to still control the drone so that you don't damage anything at the end of the day. So the first thing is getting your drone. You can either choose to import it, which you need a permit from the Ghana Civil Aviation to bring it in, or you can buy one off the market, Telefonica, and some other shops that have it. That's the main bit of getting it from. That's the first.
So do we, I mean, apart from going to the mall, do we have some people that you're aware of who do a wholesale sort of reputation?
Right now, with the limitation due to security regulations placed on it, no one is doing wholesale assets yet. Maybe a large number, more purchase, but not wholesale. Because you still need to get that permission from the civil aviation before you bring anything into the country.
Based on your experience as well, what are some of the limitations you found in terms of which sort of drone you're buying and stuff like that?
So
because I want to buy a huge drone. So what are some of them?
The choice of drone for purchasing is based on the user, the end user. So if you know you're doing basically filming or research work, you just need a good enough image to put in your report or something. You don't need a high-end, expensive drone, like let's say a $4,000, $5,000 drone. You can go for the standard ones, the DJI standard ones, which are for less than $1,000. So the choice of which drone to buy is based on the end user of your drone. So you should look at, okay, I need the drone for maybe line inspections or gas pipeline inspections. Then you know that, okay, this drone has to come with this type of camera, which can maybe thermal imaging or this or that. So it all depends on the end user of the drone.
Is it better to rent or buy?
Once again, it depends. Yes. So if you're a one-time user, let's say you want to film where you are in a movie industry, you need an aerial shot, it's one time, you might not use it again, then you have to rent. But if you know that this is part and parcel of your business, you always be taking aerial images or aerial footage, then you can choose to buy one for yourself and for your business.
Okay, so moving on to disaster management, possibly, if you can also educate us, what are some of the things that you realize in terms of which drone to buy and all these other things? Maybe there are some people here who are developing, probably coming up with a startup or a company that could assist in its operations. What are some of the things that they should be looking out for in terms of which drone to buy, which technologies, for example, they should be engaging in?
Okay, presently what appears to be readily available are those for multimedia purposes. That is what currently is available. And in the few times I've been involved in the news, that is what we've used. But I know that out there, that is outside, there are different platforms and therefore different also software that support drone use for specialized emergency response. Those are high-end drones and flying for hours, and they also come with their cost factors. But at least for now, what we have access to seem to work pretty well. We are in the process of acquiring, at least I know in the very near future, 2 drones. And then from the International Civil Defense Organization, they are getting it for us. And those, I believe, will be specialized for certain purposes, but particularly with battery life. Yes, extended battery life that will allow the drones to fly for some time longer than.
Let me find out from the Ghana Police Service. So when you talk about the training of personnel within the Ghana Police Service, will be manning some of these trains that will be coming in, because it seems as if we have adapted it to the new need this day. Walk us through some of the training opportunities that are available, in case some people here would also want to probably apply to be in the Ghana Police Service or want to necessarily provide some of these services for you.
Basically, I think when it comes to training, we find people like my brother here, who are specialized in it. As a matter of fact, I don't have the expertise and how to use it. So we normally depend on them to come and train our guys. And I think the most important thing is that we are more interested in the safe use of the drones, so that we don't abuse this use. What we want to use it for is to control crime and to make sure that our work is more effective, that we make all Ghanaians as safe as possible. And as I said, armed robbery incidents, for instance, and then also when it comes to traffic situations, we know that sometimes the traffic is going to occur, for instance, when you go to the massive, sometimes
The red lights, small short one, red skates, and to carry.
Exactly. And so I think if we have drones to help us know exactly where we have to concentrate our efforts, it will really help. So in our training, I think this is what is about the controlling of the drones. And then it's safe use, so that people don't abuse it. You don't go and then abuse people's privacy and all those things. So I think that's where our concentration is. And I think that's what the police administration is going to concentrate on.
Let me just take one word from Edwin and open the floor for comments and questions. Now, Edwin, like in terms of, because the National Ambulance Service has adapted Snow Code, for example, which I think was brilliant. And I'm guessing that now you are going to consider the use of drone technology as well. Are there any timelines necessarily? And also, when you adapted Snow Code, it was kind of difficult for people to accept it and initially start using it. Do you foresee similar sorts of resistance from the general public, and how are you planning to hopefully get around that?
Are you talking about the drones in terms of the general public, or the drones, the acceptance of the drones in terms of management?
In terms of the organization, initially.
I think for the Snow Code, adoption by the public took a very long time, and it's still ongoing. Actually, people are still getting used to it. That's what helped was more advertisement and I think education. Yes. But with the drone aspect, because it's more of an organizational implementation issue, there's going to be more of an internal education sort of, such that I will myself, actually I'm the head of IT with my kids. So possibly what I will have to do is to come up with the various incidents that has happened in the past that we actually had issues with, that the drone would have otherwise improved our perspective in terms of handling the issues. Possibly bring those up and educate them on how we could actually use the drones to make our work much more efficient. Because in doing or in performing our work, there are two main areas in terms of protocol: scene safety and then triaging. Triaging basically has to do with arranging the patient according to order of priority. Sometimes you go to the scene, you see some of the patients shouting, you see some lying very quiet, you see some also rolling and doing all sorts of things. For a layman, when you get to the scene, you'll be tempted to go to the guy shouting. But as an EMT or as an emergency person, the one shouting obviously means he's responsive and does not need a critical care there and then. He can actually survive some few minutes. But those lying very quiet are the most critical ones. So we actually color coded red, blue, yellow in order of priority. So that means if these drones were to come in a mass casualty, for instance, we could see ahead of time where the various very critical ones are. So when we get to the scene, deployment is very easy. We are not now going to take our time to allocate people, go and check in and see how many people will get check in. All those takes time. And if someone is in a cardiac arrest, he has a life for 6 minutes. So within 6 minutes, some intervention has to be taken. Another example, in a situation whereby a patient at home calls who has cardiac arrest, the international response time for the emergency services is 8 minutes. But you will agree with me that in Ghana, currently our response time is around 60 minutes, which we are improving on as the time goes. So imagine such a patient, he calls. By the time we get there, it would have been gone, or he would have been gone. But ideally, we had a first responder system, which we started training people on actually. The drones can sort of serve as a mini first responder system, whereby the drone can be sent. I was reading online today and I realized there was a new drone that has been created called emergency response drone. And what that does is it carries a defibrillator. So it goes with the defibrillator to the patient with instructions, live streaming instructions from a call center. So whoever is there needs not to be a technical person. All they need to be is someone who can actually deliver the service to whoever is in that situation. So there will be communication via the live streaming from our control center with whoever is by the patient. So that's within that 6 minutes, some intervention can be taken whilst we prepare to actually go in with the final interventions. So these are some of the things I will have to actually bring to their notice and possibly get some videos to support it. And I'm very hopeful I can be able to get them.
I hope you don't mind me putting you on the spot, but do you think that this can be sorted out before close of the year?
Close of the year, I can't promise that. I can't promise that. And besides, the budget is limited. So implementation that are not in the budget is extremely difficult to put it in there. Extremely. So I would say for sure that close of the year it will be feasible.
Let's vote first.
Hopefully next year.
Let's vote first. Okay, so the floor is open. If you have any questions, just let me know, and then you can put your questions to our panelists.
Hello, good morning. My name is Kojo. So my first question is, if I bring a drone into the country, like I'm coming down, and I have a newly bought drone, will I be able to bring it in, or I'll have to do the registration at the airport? My second question is training. Like what we're talking about, we need pilots, people who are able to use the device. So will there be maybe training schools, like how we have a DVLA, where people can drive around doing their tests? Can we have maybe a drone testing school? I don't know, something of that sort.
Let me answer the first question on the importation of drones. If you didn't know beforehand that you're going to bring a drone, when you get to the airport, customs detains it, and they give you a detention receipt. Now you take that detention receipt, come to civil aviation, complete a form, and then we write a letter for you to give to customs. Based on that letter, you do whatever customs wants you to do, and then you bring the drone back to GC once you verify that it is the drone that you're saying it is. Take its serial number, we take a copy of your ID, government issued ID, and there's a passport or voter's ID and driver's license, anything of that sort. We put you in the system. And then we indicate what you want to use your drone for. So if it's recreational, we put the recreational. If it's commercial, then we tell you that you have to come for further certification, which I'll talk about in that. So I won't talk about that.
Is it possible I could register before I go and purchase the drone?
No, you can't register before you purchase because you need the serial number of the drone to put it in the system. Yeah. Hope that answers the question.
My name is John Passa. I'm working TV3.
So, John, I think you asked two questions. I think the second question has to do with possibly like a drone testing area or a school or something like that. In the UK, it's now been incorporated in their curriculum. So I think that's your second question. I don't know if you need to the panel.
So with learning how to fly, to get a permit and to be able to fly as well, when you register with GCA, you need to have a licensed pilot teach you how to fly. Yes. Fortunately for us, we have a licensed pilot on our team. So we are working on organizing training courses for newbie pilots who want to learn how to fly, and we'll give them that training so that they can also go on and be certified as learning pilots. It's all done by GCA. All the certification is done by GCA. But you have to do the learning and everything from us, and then you can go get certified by GCA.
My question is what to the police. You made mention that you are training about 60 people to pilots with arms when you should secure them. I know you have a future unit in almost all your offices. What kind of people are you looking at training?
As a matter of fact, we have a lot of items in us. If you can just look at this place, the two guys here, we all want to guys. In fact, our replacement is mostly looking at young talented guys. If you look at how the criteria that was set out there before the replacement was done, in fact, we are deviating from what was happening previously. We are looking for talented guys. So we are going to narrow in on some of the most intelligent guys among us to do that. And when they came to do the demonstration for us, in fact, we got 4 guys who within a matter of 30 minutes were able to touch on how to use the drone. So you can imagine. So basically, we're going to look within ourselves and then select those that we can train to know.
Okay, I ask this because, you see, I see from experience, I see, and you bear witness to this, there's a difference between a pilot and a cameraman pilot. You see, if I fly a drone and he fly a drone, you can tell the difference. Because apart from the fact that you are airborne, there are certain things that you have to do on the camera. The main thing is the operation of the camera actually. Because if you fly on a sunny day and the exposure is that high to whitewash, just wouldn't be seen, just will be out. So they all come to play. So in your case, because you have the photo unit amongst people, I think you have to employ people more from that section. And then whoever,
More from Mrs. Speaker, more from where?
from your photography department.
Yes.
I don't know how, maybe you said maybe they're not enough, because if you look at people from that section, and they are more of the 60 people, it will help you more, because otherwise I think you spend more time training than.
Yeah, that's a matter of fact. The users at its pilot stages. We are now somebody has just donated one to us, and then we develop an interest. So the administration has taken it on board. So it's going to take a bit of time. So by which time we'll be able to train people, training to all the guys that we're going to select to train. So I think the time aspect, because we haven't started using it, we still have enough time to give them the training before they actually take off. Thank you.
Good morning, my name is Prince. The training of drones, how to find out about. We have been doing certifications even to do things of writing the exam. We are training, where can we train the certifications involved in flying the GCA or the GCA or the guys in charge of the drone. And to the police service, and I apply to the police just to fly drones.
Okay, so all questions regarding regulation, policy, and everything else will be addressed in the second session, which will begin really useful. So that's question and all other questions relating to and all of that will be answered in the second session. I guess recruitment.
Recruitment, I think I don't have the process to say that. I think with time, that's something that this administration can look at. If we will need to recruit special people to handle jobs. But as it stands now, we don't have that on the board at the moment.
Hello, my name is David. I want to find from Mamako if they do maintenance, if I have a drone and there's an accident, if they do maintenance. And the second question is, what if I fly a drone and there's a wing? How do I get it? How do I pinpoint the location? Do they have any device that can give me location?
So yeah, the first, we have a technical team that deals with any drone crashes or drone issues that you want to do maintenance or you want to change some parts that they can assist you with. So yes, we do have that. And with flying a drone, there's a GPS component to every drone. So it tells you exactly where the GPS, the drone is on your display screen. So if your drone is moving away, you can tell on the map exactly where it is. And even if it lands or it crashes, you can see it on the map. So you can follow that to get to the location of your drone and then you can be able to hear. It's in almost every drone, there's a GPS component that allows you to locate your drone at every point in time.
Okay, so I can foresee a situation where I'm registered, my device is registered as well, and I'm flying in maybe perhaps, I don't know, maybe a park somewhere, right? And maybe somebody's like, Charlie, where's your license? You know, like they just ask me out of the blue. Will I have to, I don't know, wear something on my head? I don't know, so that people will know that I'm a registered licensed drone user. And will there be areas that maybe that would be? These are all things like this is early stage, right? But will there be areas where people can fly? This is just things I'm wondering about.
Yes, Peter said, they're all things to do with regulation and registering, certification and all that will be dealt with the GCA. So the next session we'll talk about all that. Like a card will give you, or it's a letter will give you all that. As for the places you can fly, everywhere is open to fly except where there are other objects. Yes, apart from there are restricted zones, there are military zones, there are aerospace zones where you don't fly at all under any circumstance without a clearance. If you have to fly there, there's something, let's say the exercise they had, the simulation they had. If I had to fly there, then that means I have to go get a clearance to allow me to fly in that zone. Otherwise, you cannot fly.
I only bring it up because I think it would be very annoying when I'm flying and then people are asking me, am I registered? You know, I just think it would be extremely annoying. But why would it be annoying? Because I've already registered, I've done all the process. Like, if you are driving a car and someone's like, where's your driver's license? Every 5 minutes. Every 5 minutes.
I'm sure there'll be something to showcase you being licensed or you have been registered your drone. So if it comes to that's not an issue.
And
It's flying safe.
yeah, I guess like I said, we're discussing all issues having to do with regulation and licensing in the second session, yes.
So my name is Ben. I just want to ask, for instance, how do you prevent people from maybe flying a drone over the flight hours, for instance? Or maybe security installations, what exactly do you do to because the drones are becoming popular, people are buying them in shops everywhere you go, they are for. So how do you make sure that the important facilities that serve the country are safe? What I know for now is that our civil aviation authority and some other groups are working together with the manufacturers of the drones to update their security zones and the restricted zones on the drones. So if you come to Ghana per se and they've updated that the Flagstaff house is a no-fly zone. So that's safety precaution that has been installed in the drone, so it won't take off. But aside that, it's left with you, the user, to say that I know I'm not supposed to fly, so I'm not flying. So that has to do with the mainstream manufacturers like Parrot and others. But I also know that you can buy parts of Alibaba and AliExpress and build your own drone. How do you stop people like that? Because people can have malicious intent. For example, this is an election year. How do you stop people from doing that? Arresting them, they allow and saying that you expect them not to do that and it won't solve the problem. So how do we do that?
So my name is Nicholas Okia.
TFM, TV Africa, Ericsson, MCA, Sika App, Baltic, and our partners are Cobalt Partner, and Nano, Ghana Think, GCAA, Microsoft, GIFEC, and Meta, Peter's Cousins, Fox, or Focus Extreme, and Dell IT Consult, National Ambulance Service, Pop Out, Super Shop, Dream Oval, Aero Shutter, One Baobab, Continent Aerials, Soropo Solutions, Ghana Internet Governance Forum, the Ghana Peace Service, Ghana Standards Authority, Sika App, of course, Hetzel Graphics. So if the video is ready, I think we can watch it now. But then, if it is not, I believe that we have quite a number of things that we are planning for today. And our second session is going to be, as I said, on standards, policies, regulatory frameworks, and applications of drones. We're going to have Seda Mutaja from GCAA, Reverend Kujo from GSA, Kwame Hazel, and if he's around, but I'm guessing he'll be represented by Kweku Omakohene of Aeroshatter and Mr. Lukman Mahama from Data Certification. So if the video is ready, we'd like to see it. Sure. Is it ready? Oh yeah, and a quick reminder for those of you who want to enjoy free Wi-Fi, there are notices in the ends there, iweek2016, and a password, so you can get access to the Wi-Fi as well. So just go out to the Wi-Fi. Okay, so I'm not sure how many of you are ready to enjoy a drone display. Anybody out for a drone display? Okay, so we will make our way quickly outside. We'll have a quick drone display. This will be for about 10 minutes or 5 minutes max. And we'll come in for the second session. So we'll just make our way outside to the car park area where we're going to have a drone display. So we'll be out there for about 10 minutes, so we'll return by 11:55 for the second session. Thank you.
The head is this crew. Okay. You put it. I want to take it. I didn't live. And go this way. Use here and then go this way. The last and the ladies is before the guys side. Yeah. Please just there.
Okay, so I believe that was a very worthwhile session and seeing the drone. So that's just one kind of drone, the DJI Phantom Professional or the DJI Phantom 3 Professional. So that's just one. There are some that are much bigger, some that are even smaller. And so I believe that, with basically what we saw, and I would love to see what the footage looks like. But as we can see here, these are pictures and these are videos of the drone in effect. So if we can just play this video just quickly so people can get an appreciation of what drone footage probably looks like. So I'm guessing a situation like this, if NADMO or someone was using this and they saw the smoke, for example, they could just zone in into the area to get a better idea of what exactly was going on. So yeah, this is basically a drone in effect, but obviously the issues and the questions that were raised earlier about standards and policies and regulatory frameworks and all of that I believe is the next question that we need to pose. And so we're going to jump straight into that. It's 12 noon, and so we're going to jump straight into that conversation. Standards, policies, and regulatory frameworks. So we're going to call on Senam Ataja from GCAA. You heard from him earlier, putting a few things into perspective for us. So please put your hands together as he takes his seat on the panel. Senam. Reverend Kujo, if Reverend Kujo is here as well from GSA, I believe Ghana Standards Authority. Reverend? Okay, I believe Reverend is not here. That's fine. Kweku Amwakohene from Aero Shutter. He will also be joining this particular session. And then Mr. Lukman Mahama. Is Mr. Lukman here? Mr. Lukman Mahama from Ghana Certification. Mr. Lukman. Okay, I believe Mr. Lukman is not here. But, I mean, GCA is here. So I believe that quite a number of the questions that we have will be sorted out by him. But we also like to call on our rep from the Ghana Police Service to also join in this discussion because I believe that he probably has a bit of insights to give us today. So let's jump straight into the conversation. But then before we do that, I believe Victor would like to just speak briefly to the video that we are seeing. Victor.
Okay, what we are seeing is the exercise that took place, the exercise Abronoma, to test Ghana's preparedness, to handle an aircraft incident. And the smoke you see there is a simulation of an air crash site. And the drone helped in having a very good view of the site, and also, as you look, how initial responders responded to the situation. But for the drone, it will have been very difficult to have a very good view of how the incident site was and how the whole exercise unfolded. So as you look, this is the Spintex Road, and you see the runway approach in the far end. Then you see a fire tender just there, and then you see another smoke here signifying an explosion. And then we are going to look at how the responders came in and how they tackled each incident. There are procedures one must follow when responding to such incidents. And the exercise writing team needed to know if responders did their work as is expected of them. So that is basically what we see. You see a fire tender trying to put off a fire, and then we want to know whether they were able to use the equipment fitted on very well. But if you look at the angle of the drone shot, but for a drone, it will be very difficult to For example, get this picture, So these are some of the benefits the drone provided the team with. So that is how it is.
Okay, thank you so much. Please, if you can put your hands together, that definitely is a very practical way of looking at it. I'm not sure where the water was being sprayed though. Like, the water was all over the place. Okay, so moving on. So Senam Asaja is here from GCA. Is Reverend Kujo here? Reverend Kujo is not here. Kweku Amako Hene. Yes, please. And then, of course, Mr. Lukman Mahama. I believe he's also not here. Okay, so let's jump straight into it. Gentlemen. Okay, so for me, and I believe for a lot of people, I think the basic question for this particular session has to do with, number one, what are the regulations? What do they cover? What do they not cover? And where we are headed in terms of a full-scale, adaptability of the laws that we have and implementation thereof.
Good afternoon once again. The regulations are meant to satisfy the motto of GCA, which is safety and security, our priority. On the other hand, we also want to promote the industry and encourage the growth of aviation in Ghana. So the regulations are trying to play a balancing act between regulating and controlling the industry, at the same time promoting it and allowing people to explore and use their imagination to the maximum extent. So in short, that is what I would say the regulation tries to achieve. Now the regulation talks about all the known types of drone operations that we have now. We can classify them as recreational, that means you use it for fun, or private, where a company uses a drone for its own use. So it doesn't get any monetary benefits from using the drone. And then we have the commercial, where like Aeroshata, for example, where they use their drones to earn income. Now, you can also separate it into visual line of sight operations and beyond visual line of sight operations. The regulations cater for those as well. Beyond visual line of sight meaning you can't see the drone, but you're operating it using whatever means. And visual line of sight of the pilot means you can see the drone with unaided vision, no binoculars or anything, with your own two eyes. Spectacles are allowed. Yes. And then we also separate it into 400 feet being the height at which you are allowed to fly without any special requirements. Above 400 feet, there are additional requirements that you have to satisfy. So yes, those are the basic categories that the operations have been divided into, and the regulations cater to all of them.
In terms of the policy that covers drone usage, that's basically it.
Yes, basically that is it. The policy is you have to be registered and you have to be certified. Your certification will depend on the type of operation you want to do.
Okay. Now, in terms of getting certification, can you walk us through how, so for example, someone asks, so I come into town, I come to your office, can you walk us through the practical steps that we're supposed to follow so we clear up all questions in our minds? And probably fees as well, if there are any.
Yes, I can't talk on fees now because the law has been passed, but the procedures and the guidance is still with the Director General. We are waiting for his approval. So when he gives the approval, then we start charging. For those who have registered, we have over 100 people who have registered for now. They've not paid any fees because we are waiting for when the Director General signs the procedures and the charges. Then we start charging, and the registration is a yearly renewal. So we'll get the people who came free this year, next year.
So please,
But
if you have a drone now,
yeah.
buy now. It's free. From next year, you pay. Okay.
But then the certification, if you are a private or recreational user, we just register the drone and take your details. We don't want to put too much impediments in your way. We want you to enjoy your drone. You just have to obey the basic rules, which we think is enough to mitigate any safety concerns. That is, you fly below 400 feet, you can only fly visual line of sight, and you don't fly closer to 30 meters to buildings. So you means you have to find somewhere where that, and then you don't fly over populated areas or gatherings of people. So if you are a recreational user, you stick to those conditions, it should mitigate the risk involved. Now, the issue comes to play when you are going for commercial services. For commercial services, one, you are getting money from people, and those people are putting their trust in civil aviation, that we know that you are good and can perform rightly. So GCA will demand a lot more from you. The certification process is a 5-step process, where you come in the first phase, which is called the pre-application, where you tell us who you are, etc., what you want to do, what you have. The formal application is where we give you what you need to be certified. And when you bring those things that we need, then we evaluate them, which is the document phase, where we evaluate your documents. And that is the most time-consuming part and the most work-intensive, because you have to come out with an operations manual. And that operations manual will tell us how you comply with the regulations. Just not how, but who is going to comply with what, when, and how he's going to do it. So it's a detailed document. And that document might go back and forth between us and you a number of times. If we complete that stage, then you do a demonstration phase, where you demonstrate what you say you can do in your manual to us. If you are satisfied with that, then we give you a certificate that says you are allowed to do the kind of operations that you say you want to do. So basically that is it. And it's also every year you have to apply for a renewal. The renewal process is not going to be as intense or time consuming as the initial phase. But then we also reserve the right to pop in at any time to monitor your operations as well.
I see. We'll come to the questions in just a bit. So please hold on with your questions. Me too, I have questions. Now, and Kweku, I'd just like to put this to you. Based on your experience, I'm sure you have partners outside the country that you interact with. Based on your interactions with the GCA and some of the other institutions that monitor the use of drones in Ghana, are regulations solid enough? And also the monitoring that, for example, they provide for you and the service that you provide, are they strong enough? Are they good enough? And what are the opportunities that possibly we might have to look into?
Okay, so with our business, the regulations are a helpful tool for us, because then it makes us ensure that the safety measures are always we always make sure the safety measures are put in place, so we can, as he says, mitigate any damage or any issue arising from our use of the drones. So it's actually a step in the right direction, whereby if anyone else wants to delve into commercial drone operations, they can also, all safety measures can be ensured, and the effective and safe use of drones is also ensured. So it's a step in the right direction for us. Partnering with other outside bodies, we have companies from South Africa and other African countries. They spearheaded their regulation in their country with the companies we partner with. So they are sort of ahead of us in terms of working with regulations and and abiding by them. So it's actually helped us to go to know how to get our operation manuals and all these other safety checks in place, working together with the GCA.
But in terms of us as a country,
Yeah.
are we at par with international standard, or maybe like I was asking, are there opportunities that we need to be looking into in order to ensure a level playing field for everybody?
Yeah, there are huge opportunities in the drone industry. It's sort of now taking off for us. There are a whole lot of opportunities. What we are saying is that the GCA is here to help, whereby making it like they should have lay down rules and procedures for which a business should operate. If it's a drone business, the way by which you should operate, it should be stated. It shouldn't be something that, okay, this person can do it this way, this person can do it this way. It should be a lay down rule that everyone should follow to make sure everyone is safe and the industry can grow from there.
And that is what we have today.
Yeah, that is what we have today.
Brilliant.
Yes, because we've passed the stage of registering our drones with the GCA, and we always get permits from them whenever we have to fly in the capital city. So yeah, it's good.
Sanam, we've had situations in the past in Ghana where certain regulations being put in place initially start off as ensuring the safety and ensuring that everything is working well, but sometimes ends up becoming something completely else. So, for example, you go to some place and you have guru boys, for example, and it becomes a money-making sort of setup. What sort of measures are you putting in place to ensure that right from the onset, we all know what rules we are playing with, we all know what the regulations are, we all know what the procedures are, everybody knows what exactly is going on?
Yes, that possibility with civil aviation, I think, would be non-existent, because the rules are on the website, the charges will be put up on the website, and I don't think anyone would demand extra from you from those charges, because it's available for public consumption. So if you come and someone tells you pay something else, you can challenge the person easily. And moreover, you don't pay to the person. We have a cashier where you go pay and then bring the receipt to show the person. Secondly, the process is normally not done by one person alone. It's normally, at least you get a minimum of 2 people because of the size and complexity of drones. Minimum of 2 people will be on the team that will work with you. So that thing will be cut out.
I see. Sometimes you have a situation where there's an international standard and then there's a Ghana standard. Is that the situation we have currently?
No, the international standards are Ghana standards. We have to comply because we are audited by the international body as well.
I see. Okay, so I'm going to open the floor for a few comments and questions, and I know a lot of you have questions. But then before just a few minutes ago, how many of us knew what the regulations and the rules were regarding drone usage in Ghana? If you can just raise by hand. Okay. How many of you knew they were on the website? Okay, that is what I'm talking about. Because it's all well and good if you have something on a website, but in terms of people getting practical access to the information, so what other means are you using to educate the general public of, for example, number 1, the rules, and number 2, the application of drone technology? Because as has been discussed in the first session, there are too many opportunities for us to use it. Someone asked, I'm brushing my teeth in the morning, I see a drone flying by. I should understand what sort of rules are pertaining to it. So what sort of measures are you putting in place to ensure that there is a general dissemination of information on how drone technology works, what sort of measures are supposed to be put in place? And for example, if someone somewhere in some corner is violating certain rules, what are the measures by which we can take to ensure that such people are brought to book?
The easy answer is just to say education, right? But what we are doing now is I know there are some associations in the system, drone associations, and their heads, you could say, have approached us. And we lecture them and they communicate information to their people. We've had offers from some of them telling us to come by to speak to their groups. So that is one method that we are employing. Because if we just put it out in the media that the rules have been enacted, that might not work. But what we are looking at is whenever, especially the first few people to be certified commercially, if that is announced in the media, but that normally will possible after the fact.
After the
Fact, you don't have it live streaming. Yes, after the incident has occurred, you'll be able to go into the records to find out what happened. But as and when it is happening live, no, there is no system like that for now. What we have are for the aircraft, the manned aviation, but those are heavy, and they've not been modified to fit on the Phantom. It's even heavier. I'm sure it's even heavier than the Phantom itself. So it defeats the purpose of having it in there.
My question goes to the GCA. It was intriguing to hear about anti-drone devices, and I don't know whether your regulation as of now is considering that, because it will be an eyesore that my drone should be in the air and somebody will use a gun, to just bring it down. I mean, as I don't know whether it's considered yet because he's using the US experience, and I don't know whether slowly those devices, anti-drone devices, have graduated into our system yet. But it will be a good area to, tread. I don't know whether you have regulations as of now.
No, our regulations don't cover anti-drone devices, guns, etc. That one will fall under the general laws of the country, where if you destroy someone's property and you don't have a valid reason for doing that, the laws will take care of you. But if you are infringing on the person's privacy and the person shoots you down, then you may have to answer to the law. So
I am saying this because possibly because we are doing this discussion, but I think that it will be important also for you to look at that aspect. Because if you are looking at drones and we have anti-drone devices, it will be important that the authority that seeks to, certificate people or give people the leeway to, operate in drones will look at other anti-drone devices which equally, counter the effect of or the use of drone. It may not be directly something that you are going to spearhead alone, but it will be in combination with other agencies, because we cannot, register our drones and then we will leave anti-drone devices also unregistered, which may also create some problems at some point.
That's a good point. Anti-drone devices, you are aware, can be anything. Can be a catapult, can be a gun, can be anything. So
Thank you for the response, but I stand to be corrected. Are we asking that the GCAA act like the NCA or to regulate and monitor, whereby a drone like my mobile phone, if I place a call at any point X, there could be a recall as to what conversation I had and what effect it had. Um, I'm unsure if you have the capacity, just taking the details of whoever applied for a drone license or certification to later come and say, okay, you flew this drone at the state house, and so this is what it's going to cost you. I think we're asking too much at this stage, unless you have the capacity to later give us streamlines as to what the drone was used for.
no, that's what I was saying, that we can't monitor unless something happens. When something happens, let's say someone reported that he saw this drone and he's able to identify the serial number, or he saw the person or something, then we can go into the GPS log of that drone to find out. But then secondly, the GPS can also be switched off. You should remember that, and flown. And it's one of the tests we require when you are demonstrating to us. You fly with the GPS off, because it can lose connection anytime during flight, and we have to see whether you are capable of controlling, or the aircraft itself is capable of being controlled without GPS. So it's one of those things we check for. So yes, it's difficult to monitor, especially the small ones, where they fly, etc. So what we are doing is, when we certify you, for example, to do a project, and then you see someone who has not gone through the process taking your market from you, because you will be more expensive naturally because you are certified, and he's taking your market from you, you'll be the first person to report the person to us. So we are counting on an internal policing system, kind of. And then we are also depending on fate, if you can say that. The day one person does something mistakenly and something happens and he's not certified to do that, sure, my brother's uniform will set him as a good example. Then we all learn from it and we don't do that again. So yes.
So my name is Nicholas Apia. My question, yep, yeah, okay, sorry. So my question has to do with the business aspect in terms of, yes, there's regulation, and I know it's mostly for safety, but with innovation, you don't want to also stifle innovation where technology stifles it. So in terms of the certification for businesses, I want to know, is the certification function specific or business specific? I ask this because when the regulation, for example, in the US was evolving, it was very restrictive, where for every specific thing you want to do, you needed an exemption. And it's not only delayed business application and things they wanted to do, but say I'm a business, say Aero Shutter. I'm having a startup yet to start it, but say Aero Shutter. They started from entertainment, media, they're going into agriculture or maybe construction or mining, they're going to other areas. Is the certification specific to the function they're doing or specific to the company where you trust that, okay, now they have a certification, which means they have good pilots, they have people who can fly it, and they are adhering to all the other safety regulations. Don't fly above 400 feet and things like that. So that's my first question. My second question, you touched on the certification. Can you touch a bit on the license, the requirement to fly? And can you also expand a bit more on the import bit in terms of the permit and things like that? Can you expand a bit more on that? Thank you.
Okay. To your first question, the answer is both. It's both business specific and function specific. Business specific in the sense that what you said was right. That when we certify the company and we know their pilots, then they are, that company as a whole for 1 year can do what they are allowed to do without recourse to us. But then the functionality comes in when you want to perform operations that we term as special authorizations. It's in the regulations. Now, those special authorizations, off the top of my head, flying above 400 feet, flying close to the border, flying in restricted areas, like close to the airport, and ours is 10 kilometers from the airport. You shouldn't fly. That is Medina all the way around. So even this demonstration you had here, I couldn't go and watch it because legally it is wrong. Right? Yeah, so if I'm there, I'm giving a tacit approval to it, so I just sat here. What else? Yeah, so special authorizations operating in high RF radio frequency regions, you need to be certified to do those ones. If you want to fly close to the airport, for example, or close to the border, you need a police report as part of your requirements for the pilot, not for the organization, but for the pilot himself. So yes, so it cuts both ways, both business and function-wise. The second one was, remind me again, please. Yes, yes. For the license to fly, if you are flying commercial, we want you to be above 18 years. You should have a medical certificate, class 3, which is just a basic, it's heart, respiratory, etc. We have licensed practitioners. When you come to us, we'll give you the information where you can go for them to check you up. Then you bring the report to us. You may need a police report. If you are going commercial, you need insurance, third-party liability insurance. That's for the company. Yeah, basically, that is, let me see. And then you have to know the regulations. So you'll be taken through a small test based on the regulations and then the aircraft, we call it RPAS, remotely piloted aircraft systems. On the specific one, because when the license is given to you, it's not going to be a general one for all drones. It will be the specific type that you are rated on. So you have to know the specifications of that, your maximum speed, your maneuver, your turn radius, etc. We'll ask you questions on those. And then you will demonstrate to us, as I was saying before. When when we had to give one-off approval to Aeroshata, for example, and we're going to take a program at the beach in a different region. We took them close to the Independence Square where it was windy. And then we asked them to switch off the GPS and control the drone and see if they could control it in windy situations. So those are the kind of things we will do for you if you want to be a pilot. And then touching on the importation thing, if you know beforehand that you are going to import a drone, you can come to us, you fill the form, we give you a letter beforehand. And then when you get to customs, you show it to them so they don't delay for too long. You do whatever they need to do over there. And then you come to us with the drone, and then we register you. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I think you answered a bit of what I was going to ask concerning insurance. You know, vehicles normally are required to have an insurance. But I will ask, does the insurance cover each drone? And then the second thing will be, just as we have the DVLA that ensures that at least once every year we test the worthiness of the craft or the vehicle. Is there going to be a system where, as per each drone use, every year we must test its airworthiness, And then I also want to talk about what my senior brother in the police service said. I know there is an app. Now I'm in the Center of ICT Excellence. So there is an app that allows you to, using augmented reality, you can point at an aircraft. I know it's outside, and it gives you the indications of what aircraft is flying, because behind the scene, it is linked with a real-time system that is also capturing which plane is flying at what time and its location. So this could be a challenge. This is an iWeek, innovative week. And given the information available with GCA, if somebody can build a system that will sit on top of that data, and then GCA, as per your requirement, to anyone who is registered to do commercial flying, before you do any flight, you must go into a system somewhere and key in your credentials or whatever, so that at any point in time, there's an indication, there's a tracking system of some sort. Then the police can at least point an application at a flying drone and know that this is the serial number of this drone. So it's a challenge to this Center of Excellence to also think about. Okay.
Just to blow his question a little bit, we are in a security zone. We have the State House just at the corner, and I have some banks also in the north and south directions. If somebody had reported to GCAA that about 30 minutes ago there was a drone flying in the skies, will you be able to determine whether it was Kweku's drone up? So it's free. The person could just launch it to the Rage Hospital and drop it there, or may have something on it and then crash it into the World Trade Center.
Yes, as it stands now, that is the situation we have. But then if you know that after you do the deed, you'll be found out, then yes, that can mitigate you a bit. But there are people who don't care, and no matter what you do, human beings will find some way to go if he really wants to do it. With your system, for example, that you're talking about, if the person has to key in something, and the person doesn't want to key it in, what can you do? You can't do anything. Even with the manned aviation, they have to set that and switch it on. When planes are hijacked, they switch it off, and they don't see the aircraft again. So it is all, the human factor is always in there. You have to trust the human to do the right thing. Yes.
I just Go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, the insurance aspect you're asking on. If you're commercial, that's when you need the insurance. Because with the commercial, it's more than likely you go into populated areas to film or do whatever you want to do. So it's from the company to cover their fleet of drones. So if you have one, you might pay less. But then it's third-party liability that we require as a minimum. If your company procedure say you want to do comprehensive, that is fine with us. Yeah. Yes, the airworthiness for the phantoms and the like, which are not type certificated, as we say, we look at them during the registration process. And when you are re-registering, we'll look at them again. What we look out for, especially, they are mostly multi-rotor. So you normally look out for the rotors, no breaks, no cracks, nothing. Because normally those ones, if something is wrong, it will fly well anyway to go up and do something. But the huge ones, the big ones, they are the issue. And if you look in the regulations, we've catered for it that if your drone weighs more than 7 kilograms, you need to have a certificate of airworthiness or an experimental one if one has not been issued. And that will be renewed. So we look for those things. Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, is there a fine, is there a set fine for flying an unlicensed drone or flying as an unregistered pilot?
For commercial purposes, now the lawyers will be the best to answer. I can't answer this question now. Yes, the lawyers will be the best.
All right, thank you. I think this one came up when we were walking us through the registration process. Yeah, you mentioned something about the operational manual. I want to find out, is that coming from the client or is coming from GCA?
It's the operations manual and it's coming from the client to be approved by the GCA. So we give you what we require to be in the manual. Okay. And then you prepare it to our standards and then bring it for approval.
Okay. Sorry, second question. Do you have regional offices?
No, GCA doesn't have regional offices.
And what are you doing about that?
Nothing so far, I know.
So
you have to come to Accra. You have to come to Accra.
Wow.
Yes.
A humble appeal. I was on the website and there were so many telephone numbers there. I didn't know which one to call to take me directly to the one who is going to show me the procedure in registering a drone and all that. So in my confusion, I decided to call all the numbers. And I can tell you, I spent almost 1 hour. I had no information. The numbers which went through, they were like, you call the wrong office, call the next one. And some too, when you call, nobody picks up. Some when you call, the lady will direct you to another office. It will keep on ringing. It cuts by itself. So I'm humbly appealing, please get your, customer service, client service, your telephone numbers. Let people be there to be able to assist us when we need help.
Okay, that is the point well taken. But then, just in addition, if you send an email to info, the info email, it gets directed to the right place, at least. Because I've seen quite a number of emails coming through the info email to our system. So whilst you are resolving the telephone issue, you can try the email info one and it will work.
Thank you. My name is Prosper. I'm thinking this whole thing seems to be of a more deeper security concern than we think. Because I recall earlier this year, there was an incident. I can't recollect the exact incident, but the Minister of Communication, Dr. Omani Buama, was on air and he made a statement like he was more concerned about people who were able to get access to drones than the incident in question. And the point my brother just raised here seemed to have confirmed that. I don't know if you share the same concern. Thank you.
Let me try and see if I can answer your question, because I didn't. The drone operator, the pilot, supposed to have the same responsibilities as the pilot on board the aircraft. So if you are flying recreational, with the measures we've put in place, hopefully you will not be flying where you can cause damage. Now, with a commercial pilot, it's required for them to have an observer by them. Now, the main function of the observer is to make sure he doesn't crash into anything or nothing crashes into him. But then secondly, it's also to stand with him in case of someone trying to overpower him to take the drone from him. So it's like a security measure in addition to that. So if you're flying commercial, you should always have someone observing you. Now, who can get access to the drone? I don't think we have such a good, in the US, for example, they have a database where they can put you on a no-fly list or etc. You're not allowed to, based on your psychological background. You can't access guns, etc. But in Ghana, I don't know if we've got there yet. So, yeah, these are all ideas that it's a developing industry, and we are developing. So as time goes on, I think we'll be improving. And my teacher used to tell me that all the laws of aviation are written in blood. When something happens, then they think of, oh, why did this happen? How do we stop it from happening again? It may be that might happen with the drones as well. Hopefully, we'll learn from other countries and not let them happen to us before we implement them. That is why we are coming out with these laws, etc. So that what has happened in other countries where drones have crashed into planes, and you see a video of it today, where drones have gone to hit people on the street, etc. We can prevent that from happening.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not being too hard on you, but but the point my brother made there regarding like the incident, like flying a drone right now, he made a point that when you fly a drone to any public institution anywhere, and the perpetrator, if he uses it for a crime, cannot be traced instantly or cannot be is of concern. So
no, he can be traced.
Okay.
But not before he commits the act. That's what I'm coming to.
Okay.
So if you registered your drone and you use it for something bad, we can trace you.
That's after
the fact, yes. Just like a car. In France, Nice or something like that, someone drove a truck into a crowd. I don't see how they could have prevented that from happening in the first place. But after it happened, of course, they were able to trace who did it, etc., etc. So, yes, that is how it stands for now.
Okay. All right.
So we'll take two more questions. And we'll wrap up with the conversation. Thank you.
I want to ask on behalf of people who are into hardware, if you are building a drone, is there any process you are supposed to go through?
Yes, the law captures it that you have to come to the GCA if you want to manufacture, sell, anything you want to do with a drone. You come to us, and then based on what exactly you want to do, and we'll talk with you personally, because it's be difficult to get the same mold for everybody. So when you come, that is when we'll talk with you and then see, because if you are going to build drones that are going to be heavier than 7 kilograms, you're going to meet different requirements than if you are building a drone that weighs 100 grams, for example. So when you come to us, then we will talk with you personally.
So do you come when you are ready with the design, or you do it at the prototyping stage, like before you even come up with the design?
The earlier the better, but if you are thinking of doing something, it's better to come ahead of time, even before you start with your design, because the requirements might influence your design as well.
And during the testing, I want to know how extensive it is. For example, if you are building a device that uses helium, and the helium balloon is consumable, do we test it for the balloon to get consumed so that I know that it works, and then when we are going to use it, we get another balloon to use? Or
Sometimes yes. Sometimes, because even with aircraft, manned aviation, They specifically built an aircraft to test it to breaking point. So yes, it's possible.
Right. Thank you.
Okay. So our final question, and then we wrap up for today.
So I have two questions. The first one is you've talked about the regulations and the certification. I mean, when you juxtapose the recreational users versus the commercial, do you not think we are being overly restrictive on the commercial users? For example, let's say I am a service provider, providing it, say, the farm. There's literally, I mean, crops on the farm. Yes, I'm using an over 7 kg drone. Okay, but the risk of injury to any person is so low. Now you have a recreational user who is using it in a non-restricted area, which means he's permitted to use it in that airspace. But there are likelihood for people to be around that place. And yet this person does not need any license to fly, and this person just registers the drone. So do you not think that there's, I mean, a bit too much restriction on commercial users who are trying to make sure that they are compliant and they are, I mean, anyone going into a service is going with the intention to provide a good service. But if the restrictions are so much, I mean, do you not think it's a bit too much? And then my second question is, are you liaising with other departments? For example, we have the police agency, the security agencies here. What happens to recreational users who do not register their drone? Is there any recourse, compliance, enforcement? What is the recourse for such recreational users who are using their drones but have not registered those drones? Thank you.
Yes, let me answer the second question first. For the licensing aspect and getting in touch with other agencies, what we realized was that people were flying before the GCA started acting. And now the law just came into effect early part of September this year. So we are allowing some grace period for people to regularize their operations. After that, we plan on informing the security agencies in writing to take up the enforcement aspect, because we cannot go and arrest people. They have been mandated by our constitution to do that. But we will have to tell them what, just like the DVLA, they tell the police what to look out for, etc. And there's the plan to issue a document to you, which you should always have on you when you are flying, so that if anybody asks, you can show that document to the person. But if at the moment now we are not issuing those documents because, as I said, the procedures have not been approved yet. But if anyone stops you, once you've registered, you will know my number or you know my other colleague's number. If anyone stops you, you can give us our number and we will talk on your behalf for you. Yes. And now the first question was, yes. I think the commercial guys have more privileges than the recreational, and with privileges come more more restrictions. Yes. So yes, if you want to enjoy those privileges, you have to go through the process. And I don't think it's too much. It is the minimum we are asking for. When you come for the pre-application, the first step, and you explain to us exactly what you want to do, we can give you some exceptions along the process. It's not going to be everybody has to do the same thing for no matter what you are doing. It's going to be tailored towards your operations. Yeah. So
Okay. Seems like quite a number of the questions have been answered. So we take closing comments from Kweku, from Aero Shutter before we say goodbye.
Yeah, so as we all know that with this evolving drone industry, there's a lot of potential, business-wise and other ways, whereby businesses can come in and serve, play a very important role in how things are done now, how we get results with working in any other field, health, construction, mining, security, any field. It's a huge plus to add the drone services to it. So what we're asking for is that every end user of a drone, whether it's a client or the provider, should ensure that all the safety measures are put in place so that the use of the drones are done safely and efficiently to help all the people of Ghana.
Brilliant, brilliant. Please put your hands together once again for the members of this particular panel. I think it's been one of the most worthwhile discussions.
You let me give my final comment.
Oh, sorry, I apologize strongly. Please proceed.
Yes, the aim is to integrate drones safely into manned aviation, but manned aviation has priority over the drones. Whilst you are using your drones before you register, etc., I just want to plead that you keep to the 400 height, 400 feet above your local ground level, because aircraft, the manned aviation, are allowed to come as low as 500 feet. So if they have any issues or problems, the helicopters, for example, they can fly as low as 500 feet. So we are given a gap of 100 feet between you and them. You might not know when they are passing by. And the whole of Ghana's airspace is a controlled airspace, so they are allowed to fly anywhere. So you keep you to 400 feet. If there's any reason why you think you need to go above that, approach the GCA, they will help you out. There'll be a video I want us to show the damage a drone can do to an aircraft. Luckily, it happened at a portion of the aircraft where the aircraft can still fly safely. But if it had gone into the engines or hit the windscreen of the pilot, anything could have happened. They are small, but the momentum of the aircraft, and those who have done physics, the momentum of the aircraft and the weight of the aircraft hitting the drone coming at it can cause quite a damage. So, yes, so don't say.
So please, once again, let's hear it for the members of our panel. Okay, so the conversation definitely continues. iWeek 2016, as I indicated earlier, our partners, our lead sponsors, GCNet, MTN, SMSGH, EcoBand, City FM, TV Africa, Ericsson, NCA, Sika App, and Voltic. Partners, of course, our Cobalt partner, NADMO, Ghana Think, GCAA, Microsoft, GIFEC, NITA, PZ Cousins, Focus Extreme, Adele IT Consult, National Ambulance Service, Pop Out, Zuba Shop, Dream Mobile, Aero Shutter, One Baobab, Continent Aerial, Soronko Solutions, Ghana Internet Governance Forum, the Ghana Police Service, Ghana Standards Authority, Sika App, and Headcell Graphics. Before we say goodbye to you for today, I'd like to briefly hand over to Ernest, who's a team lead for iWeek 2016, for a few announcements.
Thank you, Philip. How's everybody? Did you learn something today? Was it useful? Or you're tired? Okay, good. So basically this is the essence of the iWeek. It's to bring you in so that we find a common place where we can learn some of these things. Otherwise you'll have all had to march your way all the way to GCA to try and look for, or go through the 100-minute phone call before you find somebody. So we hope that by doing this type of platforms, we'll get to understand better the environment we live in. Technology will keep changing, and we have to keep the pace so we can understand what's going on, and then use that to create new opportunities for ourselves. Hopefully you will live here and go and build new businesses that use the new technologies that we are discussing today. But you have to do so respecting the rules, regulations, norms that govern this country that makes us one people. And that's why we pull together all these people. On the side of the regulators, we know they're doing their best to support us. We hope that some of the challenges we've had in the past, we will learn from them and not get into them. I was particularly interested in one of the questions to do with fees, because we've seen some regulatory environments where we started creating them as a protection mechanism, and then they ended up becoming money-making machinery. After a while, you can't even pay the license fee so that you can become part. So the way it stands now, it seems to benefit all of us, and I hope we'll keep on like that. Before you leave, I think there will be some refreshments at the end of the event, but before we go, we wanted to show the video that GCA wanted us to see. I think it's important to understand sometimes where the regulatory elements come from. What are the things they have seen that you haven't seen that encourages them to put in the rules and regulations that they do? So we'll just briefly turn that on, and as soon as we finish, we then can go on. Tomorrow we'll be discussing IoT in general and how we can make business and money out of it. How do we interact with financial services? So if you start providing a service using technology, how do you make money? You provide a service and work tomorrow to go and then ask for your pay. Can you directly connect to payment gateways so that you get your money even in advance and guarantee that you're going to thrive in that business? What kind of support is there? If you needed financial support to do your work, what are the avenues? Most of these systems we use today, they are cloud services. You have to connect to something in the cloud so that you can take advantage of it. If you're using those things, where are you going to get the financial element from? So we'll be bringing people from different sectors. We'll be bringing international partners who will come down and explain to us how we can monetize all of these elements we've been discussing on Internet of Things. And we'll start tomorrow at 10 a.m. in a similar environment like today. And hopefully, by the time we leave here within this week, we'll have learned to craft a new business for ourselves. Okay, thank you.
So basically, that is how drones can put the rest of the people in that particular airplane's life in danger. And as we were talking about earlier, it could have been the engine, it could have been anywhere else. And those are the sort of damages that we are looking at. And that is why it's important that we play it safe. Thank you so much to everybody. We really appreciate your coming. This is the Innovation Week 2016. We continue tomorrow with a conversation about Internet of Things, its application to business, and everything else. Thank you so much for coming, and have a good day.
So you can network, get a card from someone, network with someone, find out about what somebody else is doing in the space. Don't be in a rush to leave yet. Whilst we watch some more videos, Aero Shatter has their videos here, and I think there are some police videos as well. So in a bit, just relax.